Hello, it's Lenora Costa with Longue Vue House and Gardens. We're back in the archive room, and I wanted to show you a few of our family photos that we have. It's just a few, because as you can see, we have several more boxes of paper archives, and this section is the family photo section. So we're going to come over here and look at some of these fun images we have of the family. Not only does it show us things that they are doing as a family, but then also it's a fun record of time period clothing, generational interactions, things like that. So while we're thinking about Sunday coming up being Mother's Day, I thought it would be fun to sort of take a look at their photos, and maybe you and your family can take a look at your own photos, maybe take some new ones. So here we have the family that lived in this home. This is Edith Rosenwald Stern and her 3 children, Edgar Jr., Audrey, and Philip. Philip is the youngest and is sitting on her lap. He was born in 1926, so this photograph is from the late 20s. If we move this way, we actually have a photograph of Edith and her daughter Audrey. Audrey's about 10 years old in this photo. And what's sort of fun for historians like myself is that this photo was taken on the steps of their first house. We're currently standing in the second house, what we refer to as Longue Vue 2. Move down here, we have what was a color photograph but has obviously altered over time. That is one of the interesting things about looking at old photos, as the different processes that were used over time and how they have aged. So this is at one point, color photograph of Edith and Edgar and their granddaughter, Anne Helen Hess, and so she is the daughter of their daughter, Audrey. Going to move over here now, and this one I think is very fun. So these are actually photographs in an album that was made in honor of Edgar Jr., the oldest child's first birthday. So that's him at the top playing with some cousins, actually in Chicago. The photograph below is of him sitting on his great-grandmother's lap. So that is his, paternal great-grandmother. That's Augusta Rosenwald. So she is Julius Rosenwald, Edith's father's mother, and next to her are her daughter-in-law and her daughter. So it's sort of hard to tell when everyone's wearing a hat, but I know that they're who they are because of their wonderful labeling of the book. What's fun, though, is that if you look at this child here, and this child here, the same little boy, now you can see him as an adult. This is Edgar Jr. as an adult with his wife Polly and their first child, Sandra. So it's kind of fun to see the family connection, and obviously everyone is a happy, jolly baby in these pictures. What's another fun feature that we get to learn when we look through family pictures is that we also learn how people talk to each other as well as what they call each other. So even though Edith would have been the mother-in-law and grandmother for the people who wrote this book, this is actually written to Mom, because everyone used to call Edith Mom. So I love it. It's a wonderful illustrated book by Stern and Stern, if you notice on the title page. It is actually a thank you by the daughter-in-law, Lenny, and her daughter, Eve. This is Philip's wife and daughter, Philip being the youngest child in the Stern family. And they went on a trip and made this as a book they thought would be a thank you for their grandmother. But again, they called her Mom. We also have over here something I thought would be fun. As a garden, we spend a lot of time talking about how the Stern family loved gardening. And one of the reasons that we have this wonderful garden is because of Edith's love of flower arranging and gardening. Now, this is Edith as a young girl. She's about 16 in this photograph, and this is a large arrangement that she had made. And this love is something that she actually inherited from her mother, also named Augusta. It does get confusing. So both her paternal grandmother and her mother were named Augusta. So this is Augusta also doing flower arranging around the same time, a little bit later. So it would have been the 1920s. So about 5 to 10 years after the photograph of Edith was taken. Flower arranging is always something fun because flowers can, if you look here, these don't necessarily look like they came from a florist. They look like they actually grew them in their own yard. So hopefully, if you wanted an activity to do with your family, any weekend, or especially for Mother's Day, maybe you can pick some wonderful ferns if you have any growing in your yard and make an arrangement, or if nothing else, make a fun book. What did you do? Fill it out, label it, talk about what you're doing, because you never know, in 100 years, this might be a wonderful way for your family to know, as you've grown, what their family was like. So, I hope you had fun looking at these family photos, and maybe you'll make some of your own. Thanks.